Welcome to the Inspired Riding Podcast. I'm your host, Beth Lauren Parrish. As a certified riding instructor, remote coach, and rapid transformational therapy practitioner, a powerful form of hypnotherapy, I'm here to remind you to slow down, trust your intuition, and really deeply listen to your horse. And this will make for the best co-creative dances possible, whether you're on the ground or connecting on their backs. Thank you so much for being here, and here we go. Hello there, Inspired Riders. Today I'm going to be interviewing another wonderful person in the horse world, Jessica Iliev. Jessica is a European-trained equine osteopath based in Solana Beach, California. With a passion for holistic healing, she specializes in addressing the root causes of physical and emotional imbalances in both humans and animals. Drawing from her own personal experiences with her horse and her journey to overcome chronic Lyme disease, she is committed to helping clients achieve optimal health through a comprehensive approach that goes beyond symptom relief. An avid learner, she has a relentless pursuit of further education in European Osteopath techniques, continually expanding her knowledge to offer the most effective and advanced treatments. Alongside her professional development, Jessica is also deeply committed to spiritual personal growth. When she's not working with clients, Jessica enjoys spending time with her family, including her husband, 2 kids, dog, and horse, where she continues to cultivate her deep connection to the animals and people she treats. She believes in the power of both physical and emotional well-being as essential components to living a full, balanced life. I'm so looking forward to this interview, and here we go. Jessica, thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Well, I'm really eager to hear more about your story and how you got into what you do. So if you want to tell us a little bit more about what you do and what you love doing.
Sure, yes. My horse, of course, that's how all these stories start, is what attracted me to kind of holistic healing in general. She was one of those very difficult, as they say, mares, and really all it turned out to be were still imbalances in her nervous system and her musculoskeletal system and pain, really, that led us to an osteopath who worked on her years ago and fixed a stifle lameness that turned out to be a twisted ovary. And we never had that problem again, which was amazing. So I always had it in the back of my mind that there was this alternative career out there as a possibility of working with horses. I had never seen someone do what she did. She was also a vet. So she was really inspiring. So if it weren't for her, I definitely wouldn't have ever thought that there was the possibility of osteopaths for horses. I didn't know about that previously. And then fast forward years later, was in a position in life where COVID hit and our business was doing really well. And so we decided to sell. And I knew before the ink was dry on that deal that I immediately enrolled myself with the Equine Institute because it's basically the most thorough of all of the animal osteopathy programs out there. It's based in Germany. So before the ink was dry on that deal, I knew what I wanted to do, and I enrolled myself in that school. And so that was my background of how I found osteopathy and why I chose the school I did. The more complicated version of the story, though, that is quite the healing journey that my mare has really put me on was we continued to always struggle with issues with her. She's highly reactive and she can be really explosive, truly. And I've had some pretty serious falls with her and some pretty bad injuries. And we were it's just like 3-4 years ago, we were fox hunting one winter and she tripped and fell into a creek, dropped me on my head, fractured my neck, and I kept riding, kept going. I just kept going to the chiropractor, as equestrians tend to do. Never knew it was actually fractured. And about a month later, she had a really bad fall, again out fox hunting, where she fell and broke my leg. And I'm so grateful that that happened, because without that, I wouldn't be who I am today. So the universe kept sending me signs that we were not on the right path, and we were not in alignment with what we were supposed to be doing with our lives. And my ego was in the way, and I wasn't listening. And it wasn't until that leg break that the signs were big enough for me to really listen. And so yes, so quite a journey. So I had surgery on my leg for that, to set the break and put a plate in, and I did not do well after the surgery. And I was doing so poorly in my own health that I finally went to see like a functional medicine doctor, because I thought, this is not normal. I wasn't recovering well from the anesthesia, and I was practically bedridden. And it turns out that I had really bad, raging chronic Lyme. And I had always asked my doctors over the years to test me for Lyme, because it's really endemic on the East Coast. It's especially, people who spend time outdoors and with animals. We get bit by ticks. It's just part of life. I had always kind of suspected that I had it. I had gotten tested for it multiple times over the years, and it always came back negative. So I never got treated for it. And but finally, my immune system was in such a state that after that leg break and after that surgery, that I finally came up as positive. So that set me on quite the healing journey. So I'm so grateful that happened, right? It's like, and I think a mindset shift is really the key in healing, and in the process of healing from almost anything. Not taking on a victim mentality, but rather one of empowerment and looking for silver linings. I think is really key in a healing, if you want to heal. Otherwise, you're going to keep holding yourself back. So I had to, it was really truly mind, body, spirit to be able to heal from Lyme from that, and really self-analyze and look at our lives and figure out where we were not really being authentic, where I was not showing up in authenticity for myself. And that prompted a cross-country move. And so here I am. Now I'm in California, and happy as could be, and Lyme-free, and with a retired mare, which is perfectly fine. Yeah.
That's amazing. And I'm so impressed with you that you took that as a sign to really shift your whole way of thinking, and definitely know all about that. I've been through 5 different surgeries, and it's not an easy path to have to go through all those setbacks. So I commend you in going through that and finding the silver linings. And my goodness, so tell me a little more about how you healed yourself with Lyme. I think that's something the listeners would really be keen on hearing about.
Yes, so Lyme, as most people will know, is really tricky. Usually antibiotics aren't enough to heal Lyme. Most people that have a tendency toward chronic Lyme, doing a round of doxycycline is not going to work. It's just going to come right back. And the way I see it now, from an osteopathic point of view, but also having worked with functional medicine doctors as well as integrative medical doctors that are Lyme literate, Lyme is really a symptom. So yes, there's a pathology. Yes, it's a bacteria. Yes, all those things. It's real, but it's a symptom. So it's a symptom of an underlying immune system that's not working correctly, whether that's coming from another biotoxin illness like mold or exposure to mold, or just leaky gut, right, from our Americanized diet and all the glyphosate that is in our food, right? It's like our environment doesn't set us up. And then there's a genetic component also. So there's a high correlation between certain genetic SNPs and being prone to chronic Lyme infection. And then there's another genetic piece where that's called like MTHFR, where your detox pathways work a little bit differently. I don't want to say they don't work as well, but it's kind of true. So about 40% of the population in the U.S. has this genetic SNP called MTHFR. There's a couple other versions of it, but essentially your liver doesn't detox the way that other people's do, and it's just not optimal. So once you figure that out, you can go on to the steps of, you basically have to heal all those different layers in order to be successful in actually healing the Lyme also. So you've got to tackle whatever other possible biotoxins you have, whether it's EBV or mold or any number of things, or parasites. Actually, people have those too. Candida is another one that'll plague you and bring down your immune system, right? So diet and healing your gut. Really, our immune system comes from our gut. So does our mental health, right? So anytime I'm having a day where I'm feeling anxious, I know I've got to work on my gut. That's where that comes from. That's just, and same thing with our animals, with our horses and with our dogs and cats, everybody with a microbiome. You've got to optimize that microbiome if you want to help the mental health area. So there's a kind of order of operations where you do systemic kind of detoxes, hopefully under the guidance of a functional medicine practitioner or Lyme literate doctor or an integrative doctor who understands the full body connections. The other piece that I think really helped me on my healing journey was the osteopathic work. I get myself worked on regularly by really talented craniosacral therapists and also osteopaths. It's hard to find osteopaths that do the manual work the way that we're trained to do it, the European way, but they do exist. So having previous head injuries also lowers your immune system and changes the way your pituitary gland functions, but also changes your immune system. So again, all these things led up to me having that. And so really being able to self-reflect on all the parts of my life. And then, and again, like the emotional and the spiritual side, if you're not living authentically with what feels right for you and according to your soul's purpose, you might have a harder time healing, right? Like your body is trying to send you signals all the time. The universe is talking to you. And so, you've got to start listening. Otherwise, things just won't be in tune, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing all that. That's amazing. So I'm curious, as you were going through this process of healing, how did your relationship change with your mare?
Oh my gosh, huge. I mean, I clearly wasn't listening to her, right? That was for sure. But I also did discover that she has ECVM, which, do you know what that is?
With the neck?
Yep. So the base of the neck, the anomaly there, which really set us up for dysfunction from the get-go.
Yeah.
And if I would have known that, maybe I would have made different decisions, but that's okay. I don't have regrets because every part of our story is what makes us who we are now. And that's, it is what it is. So I've learned so much, and I wouldn't be who I am today, even as an osteopath, if it weren't for her. So she's my greatest teacher, really, especially on the emotional side, because she is very quick to tell you if you're being too pokey with your hands or if your energy is not right. If you're not grounded, she says, forget it. She wants nothing to do with you, right? So she's really made me a finely attuned practitioner because she won't allow any standard lower than what she's after, right? So she's a very, very smart mare, and she's really helped me to understand those mares, especially mares. I mean, and geldings too, but mares are a little different, and I have a greater appreciation now for pain, and I have a greater appreciation for the sensitivities that horses, the sensitivities, but also the grace that they have to endure what they endure in their life with humans, and just how special that is and how amazing, right? It's like I always say, horses have more grace in their eyelashes than most people have in their whole body. The things that they allow, and as a prey species, the cooperation that they give us. I mean, what universe would that work in any other species? It doesn't. There's a grace there. There's an incredible soul level connection that we share with horses. And so, yes, I'm not against riding horses. I'm not, I'm non-judgmental about what people do. Of course, I can have judgments, but I show up as a practitioner, non-judgmental. I see myself as someone there to plant seeds of awareness and change for the better, for the horse, for the sake of the horse. Yeah.
That's beautiful. So I'd love to know, what are some of the things you set yourself up for success to help your energy feel better before you work with your mare or any other horse?
I get grounded. It's the first thing I do before I step out of the car. I've got a couple tools that I use to do that. One of them is just regular breathing techniques and imagining, right, with your mind's eye, imagining that grounding happening and breathing kind of through your toes, up through the ground, up, through your crown chakra, up, back down, and getting out of my head to get into my intuitive space a little bit better.
Nice.
So that if that doesn't work, I have some frequencies that I've been given from other practitioners that I'll use, and I have certain crystals that I keep on me and keep in my car. And I also have really amazing like Bach flower remedies that are specially formulated by a woman here locally in California who makes them, who's done a lot of rescue work that are really fabulous. And the horses love them too. I mean, it's like, wow, you get huge reactions just offering those. So I do that. I have my little, I got bracelets. I don't know how well the bracelets and the crystals actually work, but I'm pretty good about following the breathing patterns to get myself grounded.
That's gorgeous. Well, basically you tell your mind what you want it to believe. So you just decide, hey, these crystals are working, the breathing is working, the grounding's working, and then your mind goes, yes, ma'am, I'm on it.
Yeah.
Right?
Isn't that the truth? Yeah. How our intention does so much. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that horses know that, right? So if you approach them with good intention, I have very few. I mean, I can count on one hand the number of horses that really didn't want me to work on them physically. Other than that, they feel and they see your intention, and I try to have a big open heart, and I lead with that.
That's gorgeous. Well, speaking of some of the harder horses, did you have any kind of transformation story you wanted to share?
Oh my goodness, the horse I saw today is quite a transformation. I got a referral from a farrier who was just not having success in rehabbing feet on an appendix mare, and big, beautiful black mare. And that farrier referred to me. It was the first referral actually I got from her, and that she had shivers in the one leg, so she couldn't put, was having a hard time. The farrier was having a hard time even doing a barefoot trim. And when I came out, they had been wrestling with ulcers for maybe years, I think. Yeah. And had tried all of the medical management, had tried a bunch of herbs, had tried all kinds of things. And so we, it was pretty clear she had a pretty bad parasitic infestation, which most California horses actually do. Most horses that I go see for the first time have a parasite overload that we have to work through before we can really get to the deeper work. I saw that horse today. She's got a beautiful shiny coat. She's no ulcers in sight for about a year. So I've been working on her for about like a year and 3 months or something. No more ulcers, and beautiful coat, beautiful muscling back, and much more sound in her nervous system. And she's sound and happy. She's also ECVM though. So, we did, she has been retired at this point, but at least she's pasture sound, and man, does she look good. So that's nice to see. I've had some success with head shakers, which is really exciting with the craniosacral work that we do, and really truly looking at the whole body and all the connections. I mean, the head shakers can be so tricky because that syndrome, even though it's usually the trigeminal nerve that's the one that's causing the problem, the vagal nerve can also be setting off the trigeminal because they share a nucleus. And so the vagal nerve is your parasympathetic nerve that does your parasympathetic innervation of almost all your organs. So the root cause of the problem could be anywhere in the body. It's, some of those horses are really hard to unwind. So that's been great. Being able to help animals. I mean, who doesn't love that? So yeah, I love my job. Sometimes I'm like, pinch me. I get to go places, beautiful, beautiful properties, and I'm working on beautiful horses, or not so beautiful. It doesn't matter to me. And, but and then I'm now working on dogs too. And I do people, if certain clients, if they ask and they'd like me to work on them, I'll work on people. And so it's like, man, pinch me, right? It's like, I get to go out, work on horses, dogs, and, really centered people. It's just like, yeah, I just feel I love it.
That's amazing. Well, Jessica, you know that I'm also doing a series on supporting riding instructors.
Yes.
So I would love to know, do you have any tips to help develop their eye or their sense of things if something seems amiss?
Yes. So I think it's so funny. Facebook is so great about so many things, and it prompts us to have great conversations sometimes when the practitioners post things or lay people. It doesn't matter where the information is coming from. So just recently, like yesterday, I saw a post about where a pretty well-known body worker is talking about laterality, right? So like the tendency toward a certain bend in a horse, and she was talking about finally figuring out that maybe every single horse having a right hind issue might be coming from other asymmetries in the body and the organ system. I was like, oh, well, I'm glad she's catching up. This is what osteopathy has been saying, right? 80 to 90% of musculoskeletal dysfunction in our line of thinking comes from organs. So the organs are really what's causing the musculoskeletal dysfunction. So having great nutrition, right, that's more in line with, it's almost impossible to feed a horse what they would be eating in the wild. But so having a nutritional program that honors the anatomy of the horse, right, of like not having a gallbladder. And so big meals are a no-no. Like you don't want to be feeding 3 pounds of grain in a meal. That's not normal for a horse's anatomy or digestive system. So if we can get them as close as possible to natural keeping, you're going to have a happier, healthier horse. And for us, I think for me, even when I hear people say all the time that they've had vets and chiropractors go through their horse and they can't find what's wrong, but the horse is still having erratic behaviors or things that look like pain. And so they bring in a natural horsemanship person, or they bring in this trainer, or they bring in that trainer. And I say, okay. And I understand they think they've done everything, but they haven't. There's always more. And we're always learning more. Even, osteopathy is not the end all be all, right? It's like there's room for anyone to come up with another potential thing for what is the problem. But for me, behavioral issues are rarely behavioral issues. It's mostly pain-based or some kind of trauma, right? It's like the emotional things are trauma too, and they stay in the body, so that's still physical and still causes issues. So I think for people to know and understand that, again, this concept that horses have so much grace. So if they could, they would. If they physically could do what you're asking, or they understood the train, like it's either lack of training, they don't understand the question, which is fair, or they can't do it physically. Or there's excitement, or there's other behavioral things too. But I'm just saying, most of the time, what people think of as behavioral problems are really physical pain problems, because the horses just have so much grace. They really do. So if they could get along with you, they certainly would be, right? So that's how I feel about it. I think, again, regular deworming parasites, managing parasites is such a huge task. Like, it's so overwhelming sometimes for folks, right? There's so much information out there that they get bombarded with from different angles, right? About how the old school way of quarterly deworming is causing resistance, and then they should be doing fecal egg counts, or that they should go more natural and go herbal. Well, none of that's right. So parasites are really good at hiding. They don't stay in the colon. That's just a fact. They migrate elsewhere, and they hang out, and they embed in your tissues. And so fecal egg counts are not so accurate, right? And so they're just a snippet of a moment in time. You cannot rely on a fecal egg count to deworm. You really, truly need to come up with a deworming plan that honors your location and your climate, right? But you should not be afraid of the chemical dewormers. Unfortunately, they are, even though we try to do things as holistically as possible, we still recognize the need for the chemical dewormers. The herbals just don't quite cut it when you're dealing with parasites that migrate out of the intestinal tract. So yes, I think having your horse's organs as happy as possible is going to go really far to having a happy, healthy horse, right? So nutrition and deworming, and then On the physical side, right, it's like honoring the biomechanics, even if it's such, it just takes such, it doesn't take that much training to understand what a proper next set should be, right? And avoiding that overflexion. And the information's out there. People need to go seek it out and find it. Yeah, and the horse will tell you. The horse tells you if you just start listening. Yeah.
Beautiful. And I'm really glad you said that about deworming, and especially being holistic, saying that sometimes the chemicals aren't so bad, you know.
Yeah, and we can mitigate the chemicals. We can give green clay before and after to protect the stomach lining, but also to provide a detox and a buffer, right? So there's ways that we can protect them and still use the benefit of the chemical dewormers.
That's really cool. Do you do consultations remotely as well?
I do, yes.
Okay, that's great to know for anyone listening. So,
Yeah, happy to.
I love that.
Yeah.
What's something that surprised you lately in your work?
Oh, this is kind of nice. You'll like this. So I've just started working on people. I've taken a few of the Baral Institute continuing ed for human osteopathy classes and visceral manipulation. And so I've been having people come to me to work on. I've got my table set up and, nice quiet room. And one of the things that I've noticed that comes through in human sessions that hasn't come through for me in animal sessions. I mean, I'm really empathetic to the point where it's a fault. I've had to learn how to let things pass through me so they don't affect me as much when I'm working on a horse, right? It's like if I'm getting an emotional release from a horse, I have to get that to pass through quickly. Otherwise, I'm going to throw up. So I'm a really strong empath when it comes to that. So that's where the grounding comes in. And with humans, what has come through lately is this really gorgeous level of unconditional love from the divine. And it's like women, we are so hard on ourselves with our imperfections. And I know that this happened to be with a woman, but I was working on a woman who's beautiful, and it's like the soul level beauty comes through. It has nothing to do with what's on the outside. It's just this pure, unconditional love, and that's the only way I can describe it. It's like the universal source's unconditional love that on the soul level that the universe that God has for all of us. And I thought to myself, man, that feels really good, right? And boy, maybe I'm not doing that for myself, right? It's like I probably need to have a better practice of self-love, because that's a good feeling. And that it's like if you could feel that good about others, about loving others, but you really need to give that back to yourself too, and like your kids and to everybody else. It's hard because you get stuck in the day-to-day and the managing and the caretaking, but that level of unconditional love, like, wow, that's something else. So yeah, that surprised me recently. I didn't know I was missing something, and it started to come out in human sessions.
I love that so much. And I often do what I call the give and receive energy, where I feel that love and appreciation going out to others, and then I allow it to come back. And so it kind of feels like an infinity symbol going back and forth,
okay.
Right?
I'll do that. Yeah.
I think that's gorgeous. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. Well, it's I don't share these things with everyone, but yeah, I feel comfortable sharing with you, and I'm sure your audience appreciates it too. So
absolutely, yeah. I just got chills again there. So I would say that's a yes. Good confirmation.
Yeah.
If you were to create a master class for riding instructors, what would be the topic, and what would some of the key points be?
Again, the management from the ground on stable management and having a happy, balanced horse, and nervous system alignment. It's very clear to me immediately when I go meet a new horse and new owner or trainer, or if their nervous systems are not balanced, and because the horse's nervous system isn't balanced, and it could be the person or the horse or both. But I like to teach people how to do that for their horse and what it feels like, and in hopes that they recognize then that maybe they should do a little work on themselves, So just teaching, there's in the cranial sacral work, we have this procedure we do, like where we do balance the 5 diaphragms. So one of them is it's like you put a hand on the sternum of the horse and another hand on the withers, and you can with your mind's eye and your attention, you pass an energy ball back and forth, right? So like you will begin to actually feel the ball. In the beginning, you fake it till you make it. So I don't expect everybody to feel it the first time. It took me a long time to pick up the craniosacral work, and I thought something was wrong with me, but it's just hard to do. It's not hard to do. You just have to, you get it, you get it. Anyway, I'd like to teach people this so that they can do these things in between sessions. So even just doing that, where they're passing that ball back and forth, they get big energetic releases from the horse, right? And they feel that because it's also the heart chakra. It's a balancing for the heart chakra also. And it connects them with their animal in a different way than riding and training does, or grooming. So I like to teach people that. And then I would love if everyone training and riding horses understood how much damage they do to the pole with rope halters used incorrectly, and or hard tying horses, right? Or teaching them to hard tie without really teaching them anything. Or like I hear people say, oh yeah, the cowboy guy had me put a halter on this 1.5-year-old filly, and then we turned her out in the arena so that she would step on the lead rope. Oh, my heart breaks.
Yeah.
It's like once you damage that nuchal ligament, you cannot undo that. It's done. They're always gonna have that nuchal flip. Like that tells me that pole was damaged from a pullback at some point, or overuse and overflexion. So protecting your horse's head, right? Like all those nerves that are there. And like that's how we relate to our horses, through the control through the halter and the bridle. And I'm not saying that there's a better alternative, but if we could be more mindful about what we do with their heads, that would make me really happy.
Yeah, that's huge, because so many people are not mindful and they yank on their horses. And as a kid, that was what I was taught, of course.
Me too.
And now I use a really soft fleece halter that's like, and then I don't even hardly use the halter, to be honest. Everything's done at Liberty. So,
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And like we even I always tell people for after their first sessions, like the horse really should get hand walked for 15 minutes, long straight lines.
Oh, nice.
To reset that proprioceptive ability of all their cells in their body and their nervous system and the nerves. But I always say to them, please don't make corrections using the halter and on the head. If this is a horse that can't do nice straight long walks, carry a whip or a crop and tap him in the shoulder.
Right.
If you need something and you're not adept at using your own energy to manage that horse, don't yank on that halter, please. I just did all that cranial work. So please don't undo it. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so glad you mentioned that. Thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks for asking.
Of course. Okay, so if you had a billboard that every riding instructor, let's just say everyone in the horse world, could see, what would your message be?
Listen to your horse. They know. They're talking to you. Yeah. Figure out a way to listen.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Jessica, this has been awesome. Is there anything else that you want to add that I didn't ask you?
No, I think it was great. It was really nice having a nice conversation with you.
I agree. Thank you so much for joining me. And everyone, please do check out the show notes. You'll find out how to find Jessica on her Facebook page, and do reach out to her if you have questions about her services. I'm really keen to perhaps book with her, learning a little bit more about what she said, because this was amazing information. So if you guys liked it, please do write a review. And I appreciate all of you for being here. Thank you again so much, Jessica. That was awesome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah.
You're welcome. All right, everyone. Thanks again for listening. Remember to lead with kindness for yourself and for your horse. And may the horse be with you always.